City council meeting. Oh no! Oh, big talkers.
Hey there, what you reading?
Oh, I'm reading about the city council meeting. These guys are making all these big decisions, and I have a few ideas I'd like to tell those folks.
Well, you can always call the mayor. Now you can, on the new Channel 30 program, Ask the Mayor. Here.
Hello?
Hi, this is Phil Johnson, Mayor of Cupertino. Can I help you?
Mayor? Mayor Johnson?
If you've got a question you've been dying to ask, here's your chance. Just call 252-4641 and ask the mayor. Call now.
Hello, I'm Pat Jackson, and I'm hostess for Cupertino's own television program, Ask the Mayor. If you pick up your phone, dial 252-4641, you can ask the mayor a question. We have here tonight Phil Johnson, our mayor, who's going to bring us some highlights of last night's city council meeting. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Pat. Real briefly, the meeting lasted to about 11 o'clock last night, and I thought that I would fill the audience in on some of the park improvements. We had an update from the Parks and Rec Director. On Linda Vista, the working drawings are complete for review by the city staff before going out to the bid, and the present schedule calls for the work to be done this fall and in time to be open for spring. The Hoover Park, we've had some input from the neighborhood, and the architect has been selected, and work is going to be finished in spring of '86. And finally, the Jollyman Park, we also went out, and there was a neighborhood committee that gave us some input, and we'll now proceed with the acquisition of properties on Stelling prior to the development of any park changes. So just to bring up to speed on where we are with a couple of the major parks in the city.
Well, it certainly sounds like it was a full agenda, and certainly nothing trivial happened last night.
Well, speaking of trivia, strange that you should mention, I thought I'd share with our audience. I think most people are aware that we have 5 council members, that we have a city manager, and that we have some department heads, specifically the city clerk, the director of finance, public works, planning, parks and recreation. But what they don't realize is that a city that provides all these services and keeps it efficiently running, we do all this with only 96 full-time employees. So I thought I'd share that with you. And then Valco Park. I'm sure everybody's aware of Valco Park. A couple interesting tidbits. Most people would be surprised to learn that there are over 18,000 employees that are part of the Valco complex. And over the next couple of years, through the development and the eventual build-out, there will be up to 24,000 people working in the Valco area. And the trivia is, I'd be interested in knowing if anybody out there in the audience can tell us how the Valco name came about. What does Valco stand for? And if you have the answer, why don't you give us a call, and we'll see what happens. If not, if nobody has the answer, then we'll let everybody know at the end of the show.
Well, that's some very interesting information about the city. And don't forget to call the mayor if you think you have the answer to this. Let's go ahead and take our first call right now. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes,
Hello?
this is Judy O'Connell, and I
Well-
would like to know what's going on with the project called the Seven Springs Ranch. I hear it's coming in spring of '86, and we're really interested in this. I'd like to know if there's anything new coming on it.
Well, thank you for calling.
Thank you.
There has, since the council has approved the Seven Springs Development Project, and that was quite some time ago. The current status is, or at least from what I understand, that the ground is, they'll break ground sometime in early spring, and it will be built in several phases, about 3 or 4 stages of development. There have been no changes since the council approved the plan, and I don't anticipate any. But I would look for some action in early spring.
So it should be a spring happening, really,
That's true.
is what's going to take place there. That is a subject many people in Cupertino are interested in,
Oh,
so
it's
I'm glad
been-
our caller brought that
We
up.
spent a lot of time on it at the time, and there was a lot of neighborhood concern and input. So.
Well, that's good to hear. I was wondering, really in line, in a sense, with that, is there any kind of noise ordinance in Cupertino, Phil?
Well, we do have a very specific noise ordinance that has a lot of detail. Without going into too many of the specifics, if you do have a concern about a noise problem, whether it's a barking dog or a noisy jacuzzi in your next door neighborhood or whatever it happens to be, we do have certain standards. And it's all based on how many decibels. And if there is a problem, we can send out the code enforcement officer, and they can measure the level of noise. And if it is too high, then we can take appropriate action, warning the person or the property owner, and we can actually cite the person for the violation. So if there is a problem, call the code enforcement officer here at City Hall, and his name is Bob Urista.
Well, certainly as our city becomes more developed, that may be something that we hear about more frequently. Right now, let's take another call. Okay. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
This is Iola.
Well, hello. Glad you called in.
Me again.
Yes.
Phil, I would like to know, I'm invited to lunch in El Camino Hospital concerning this development they have for continual retirement and retirement home type care. Is it for certain or assured that we are annexing it? It will be a part of Cupertino, or is this still hanging fire? And do you plan to have a representative there for the preview where they're going to tell them what it's all about?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Iola. Cupertino, the City Council, as well as the planning staff here at City Hall, have expressed the desire that the property or the concept or the project be annexed to the City of Cupertino. Now, the El Camino District has agreed to that and will be proceeding along those lines. The plans or the proposal have not formally been brought to the City Council yet or to the Planning Commission. It's going to be a fairly large project. It looks like it's going to be a fairly exciting one, but there are going to be some problems that will have to be worked out and considered. But yes, in answer to the question, we do intend to annex it to the city.
Well, that's. I'm glad that Iola called and that issue was clarified. Right now, remember, you can call 252-4641 and ask the mayor a question, or you may want to respond to our trivia question for the night. Right now, let's go ahead and take another call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
I would like to know about the.
Can you speak up just a little?
I would like to know about the housing center for senior citizens that El Camino Hospital is planning on building. I wonder if the units are going to be sold or if they're going to be rented, and if there will be a health center attached to the housing unit.
Thank you for calling. That's a good question.
Okay. I can't give you too many answers on that. All I know at the present time is that there are going to be 3 or 4 different levels of living. There will be the skilled nursing, there will be some sort of partial care, there will be independent living, and there will also be something what they call congregate living, which I guess is a little more condominium style. So there's 3 or 4 different stages of housing that will be there. We have yet to hear what the details will be or what the requirements will be as to being able to live there. I would only suggest that there is a fellow at the El Camino Hospital District. His name is Ed Hawkins, and he has kind of been coordinating the project. And if you have any question like that, give him a call. Again, Ed Hawkins at the El Camino Hospital District. And I'm sure even those issues haven't been settled yet by the hospital district. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you.
You know, something, we've talked about noise control this evening, and we've talked about the new El Camino project. Something that I hear many citizens question and ask about is weed control. Sounds like a small thing, but on the other hand, what about weed control in our city, and what can citizens do?
It really hasn't been an issue in the past. If you do have a concern, call City Hall, or you can call the county. But if you call City Hall, we can give you the proper number or the proper person to talk to at the county. However, this year, for the first time, we're starting to have more concerned citizens, especially up on the hillsides. You do have some people with some fairly large lots, and there is a fire hazard. So I would suggest that if you're concerned or if you know of an area that could represent a potential threat, give us a call and we'll direct you to the right person.
Okay. One of the other thoughts that I had, each week we have had questions from citizens, and in some cases there may be some follow-up that you might like to give. Are there any is there any follow-up to some of the questions that we may have had in the past, Phil?
Well, there were a couple. Joanne Minnick called last time, and her question had to do with the walk and wait signals and the beeping that you hear at the intersection of Stevens Creek and Deanne's Boulevard. And the correct answer is she is concerned about the length of time that it took to get from one side of the street to the other. If you are walking and you get to the center of the street and you see the flashing "Don't Walk" sign, don't worry, you have plenty of time. That flashing "Don't Walk" sign is really intended for the person that is just starting out on the other side. But if you're in the middle, keep walking. It's time so that you have plenty of time. Now the beeping is for the deaf people that live in the community or that are accessing Deanne's College. And when the beeping stops, that's a signal to somebody, not deaf, obviously, sorry, but blind. That's a signal to somebody that is blind that they should stop and it's dangerous, they should go no further. So
people don't really have to train as a marathon runner to make sure they get across.
No, there should be plenty of time.
Great. Anything else that you might want to follow up on?
There was another a little more detailed question from a Mary Herdert. I don't know if she's listening tonight, but Mary had called up and wanting to know when there would be bike lanes from Foothill Expressway to connect to Los Altos, or even to go to San Antonio Park. And after checking with the Director of Public Works, there will be bike lanes this fiscal year taking Foothill Expressway and connecting to Los Altos. An interesting thing is that we don't always, he indicated that we won't always or don't always provide bike lanes in those areas where there's plenty of room or plenty of space or the volume of traffic don't warrant it. But in terms of her specific question, this fiscal year we'll probably see some action.
Well, that sounds good for Mary, doesn't it? And also for the other citizens. Don't forget, call 252-4641 and ask the mayor a question. Also, don't forget our trivia question, because at the end of the program, we may be able to say that you're the one who gave us the answer. Something that I've been wondering about, and it may in a sense tie in with the senior citizens question, and that is what's going on in the town center development right now?
A lot. There's a tremendous amount of activity that's currently happening. Last night, in fact, we had, there is a project that's now developing that has a mixed use that will be containing, this is John Vidovich is a developer, but it's going to be containing residential in terms of apartments. There is a senior center residential section as well, and there's some office and some underground and above ground parking. We reviewed it last night, and we have sent it back to the developer to do a little more work. We were a little concerned about the architectural theme tying in together. We're also concerned about making sure that we saw the entire project, or what the developer wanted entirely, at the same time. So we'll be seeing that again in a couple weeks.
Well, that's good. So citizens can tune in on Channel 30 and see the results on the on television.
Right now, town center is probably only about 25% developed, so most of the activity is still to come.
Well, good. A lot will be happening there. All right, let's go ahead and take another call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
I have recently been told that the Cupertino City has paid for the trips for the Sister Cities program for the council members who went to Italy and to Japan. I'm wondering whether or not this is true. I would like a little information on the cost of the Sister Cities program and what we do pay for and what we do not pay for. And if it would be possible, if there needs clarification, that this could be printed in the Cupertino scene.
That's a very interesting question.
That's a good question. We have two sister cities. Our first sister city was with Iveria, Italy, and that in the recent years has not been an active program. However, we do have a very active program that John Plungy administers on behalf of the council and on the city. That happens to be in Japan. Now, council members have visited both cities. And it's important to point out that anytime council members or anybody has made that visit, they've done so at their own personal cost. There has been no city money involved. So if there has ever been any concern on behalf of any citizen, that should put their fears to rest. Each council member does bear the cost. In terms of the city paying for any part of the Sister City program, when we receive visitors, for instance, from Japan, the city puts these people up or tries to find homes or people in the residential area.
But
So
certainly
there's no
has been
cost there.
certainly has been a very active program, hasn't it, Phil?
It has.
Yes, well-
I think it's been a very valuable program and a very minimal cost to the citizens.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to go to a break right now, and we'll be back soon. I have an issue that I'd like to talk with you about now that we're back on the air. Something I've wondered about is, what is the city's philosophy on the Park and Recreation Department?
Okay. This is something that I try and stress with a lot of people. We do have an excellent, in my opinion, Parks and Recreation program. And sometimes it's not always clear to people exactly what the strategy is when we do have parks. And we do have a series of policies that I'd like to share with you that's laid out in the general plan. And the first one deals with having a park system that should provide space equal to 3 acres of land for each 1,000 persons that live in the city. That's a fairly aggressive goal, and sometimes we have to utilize open space such as school sites in order to accomplish that. We also try to make sure that each household in the community ought to be able to be within a half-mile walking distance to a neighborhood park. And that they should be at least 3.5 acres of size and not be tightly designed. In other words, they ought to be a lot of open space so that they're very flexible for different uses. And they should always, for terms of easy access, be circled by neighborhood streets. It also is a very, it's a safety factor as well, so that you can easily see into a park and have access to what's happening. The biggest park is obviously Memorial Park. That's where I would call that the key or the primary focus in terms of the park and rec system. But there's also McClellan Park. That's where the office is at for the Parks and Rec Department, and we have an excellent series of neighborhood parks as well. I think most people in the community would agree.
I think the park system is one that many people have enjoyed a lot, particularly Memorial Park. And, of course, the gardens, the community gardens that are at McClellan Ranch are quite an addition, I think, to Cupertino's park system.
We've spent a lot of time developing the entire system. So.
And it's worked out very well,
Yeah.
because I know people who use the community gardens and thoroughly enjoy that part of our park system. Right now, let's take another call.
Okay.
Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Oh, this is Julie Shields. Mayor
Could you
Johnson?
speak up just a second? I can barely hear you.
Oh, I think we have a bad connection. We live in the area of Cupertino that was annexed from San Jose in 1979 and subscribed to Gill Cable TV. As a result, we are not able to watch any city council meetings or the Ask the Mayor program. I know Gill does offer a repeat of the Cupertino Insight program on Saturday afternoons. Are there any plans for Gill to do live cable casting of Cupertino City Council meetings or other community affairs programs in the near future?
Well, why don't you stay on the air for a second? There are no immediate plans. We have been putting pressure or talking to people from Gill. They're aware of our concern, and even your concern, that you're part of Cupertino and yet you're not able to view the programs that are offered on the cable.
Right.
So we are talking to them. I can't promise anything. As you mentioned, you do have the ability to view it after the fact. The City Council meeting is viewed, or I guess shown on a Saturday, or the Cupertino Insight program is.
Right. I don't think the council meetings are repeated.
You're right. I can't imagine anybody showing that on a Saturday morning.
Well,
Cupertino Insight is. I would like to see more cooperation, especially since we do have two cable companies in the city, and Gill does serve quite a large section of the city.
Right. Well, we're very interested in the city council meetings and hope that something can be worked out with Gill so that we could sit at home and watch them on Monday night rather than coming to City Hall.
Well, I agree with you.
Oh, thank you very much.
We'd love to see you here personally, too.
Oh, thanks very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
That's nice to hear a citizen that is really anxious to see city council meetings and what's happening in the city.
It's really too bad because it is a large portion of the city that is served by Gill. From what I've heard, they do provide decent service, but it would be nice to be able to offer them everything that United subscribers can currently view.
So that is an ongoing discussion then between the city and the cable TV companies.
We've had some recent discussions with Gill, and I would imagine that we will again very shortly.
Oh, great. I'd like for you to pick up your phone, call 252-4641, and ask the mayor a question. And don't forget our trivia question. We'd like for you to have the answer to that. You know, we discussed a number of different areas of city policy and regulations tonight, Phil. One of them that I've been wondering about, and I hear citizens' question, is the parking spaces. How do you determine the number of parking spaces per building? Some don't have enough, or they have very small spaces, and I wonder how the city goes about making those determinations.
We recently spent a lot of time on that very issue. Sizes of cars have changed dramatically.
Certainly have.
And also with the additional building going on, there's been a need for additional parking. We actually have a table that is set out, and we have certain rules or different ratios that we follow. For instance, for commercial, I believe it's 1 space for every 285 feet of commercial. And then there's, for office buildings, it's 1 space for every blankety blank. I forget what the exact number is, but we do have a ratio laid out for the type of use, and then based on the type of use, how many square feet before they have to provide a parking space. So
I see. So some very definite guidelines then.
there are very strict guidelines that every applicant has to follow. So.
And have you noticed that many people have a very different opinion of what a compact car is? As you look in parking lots, sometimes you see a rather long car that the owner considers a compact. Is there any way that the city, in fact, enforces that?
The owner of the car seems to make that decision at his own risk. Sometimes obviously you see a very large car parked in a compact spot.
As long as there isn't a hazard, nobody runs into it. I guess that will be something the owner decides.
There's not a lot that we can do about that, but there is a trend towards the smaller. We've restriped quite a few lots in the city.
And it gives quite a bit more parking space, doesn't it?
Sure.
Don't forget, pick up your phone and call 252-4641 and ask the mayor a question. We're also waiting to hear from you about the trivia question. So we would like to hear from you. Another area, and I think this is an evening that we'll be able to look at a number of different regulations in the city, is the leash law. Is there a leash law in Cupertino? I occasionally see a dog out enjoying himself or herself, and I was wondering, is there a leash law in Cupertino, and could you explain it?
Well, there is, but it only applies to city parks. It does not apply to any other sections of the city. For instance, if you were walking down De Anza, or if you were walking in front of somebody's sidewalk in a residential area. But we do have one that does apply, and we will enforce based on complaints in any of the city parks. But we haven't taken that any further, or at least we haven't been asked to by anybody.
I see. Well, you know, the park situation in Cupertino and how that fits with the school closures is a very interesting one. Could you enlarge on that a little bit, Phil?
Well, everybody's aware that there have been a tremendous amount of schools closing in the area. And what we've done recently is that we did purchase a certain amount of land in several school sites, 2 to be specific, Jollyman and Hoover. We can't purchase all the land that's vacated. We'll look at each site that comes up and we'll make that decision. But it's very expensive. But we are concerned about keeping the open space for the neighborhoods. So while we can't make any promises and we can't commit any dollars, we are very concerned about it and we'll continue to look at it.
So that is helping the parks situation, and unfortunate that it's school closures that are doing that, but on the other hand, it is a nice touch for the city. Don't forget, we have been waiting for you to call. Give us some answers to our trivia question for this evening. And I guess we're going to have to say, Mayor Johnson, what's the answer to the question?
Well, the answer, and I thought a couple people out there might know, but VALCO was devised by taking the first letters of the names of the principal developers, and the VA stands for Very and Associates. The next two letters, I think most people will recognize. The first L stands for the Leonard family. The second L stands for the Lester family. Those are two individuals that are still general partners and managing partners as well. The C stands for the Kraft family, and the O stands for the Orlando family. And those two families were early pioneers in Cupertino. So there's your answer.
It has a great deal of historical significance. Thanks. I don't think that was trivial at all. I think it was really very important. So don't forget, tune in on August 20th and see Meet the Mayor. Good night.
Good night.